Welcome back to my channel. I'm Tony and I'm building another 1:6 scale Armortek tank. This time it is the Hetzer or the Jagdpanzer 38. And when I left off last time, I had assembled the main roof section and installed all of the doors and access hatches and all the sort of little intricacies of doing that. So today I'm going to, or in this session, I'm going to complete all the other parts to the roof as far as I can go. As much as the parts that I want to put on ahead of painting, and then I'm going to revisit the glacier plate because I've now got all the servos from Armortek. I'm going to install all of those onto the glacier plate, and then I think the next step really is to try and align the glacier plate with the side panels ahead of installing the roof. The roof will not go on just yet. The roof will go on once I've got all the electronics in and all tested and everything all painted. So this is going to be one of the last things. So I'm going to get as far as I can with this onto the glacier plate, and then we'll adjust that. So in a moment I will just reset the camera, get close in, and we'll get started. Right, so there's a few things that need to go on here. Is the gun sight, which goes on this sort of sliding gun sight mechanism here. There's a few brackets and bits and pieces that go on here, one for the track holder. There's the exhaust, or the first part of the exhaust on this. I won't be putting the exhaust system in just yet because that bolts to the hull, but I will be putting this front part on here, or this first part here. A few more little sort of lifting points here, and then of course the remote control MG mount here. Now when you receive the kit from from Armortek, you will receive a perfectly adequate mount for this, and it's designed to sort of freely rotate on here. But I've upgraded that. I've gone to Armorpax, and I've just assembled from the last time I saw you. I've put this little assembly together, really beautifully detailed piece accessory, which will basically sit on its mount and rotate. We will put it on to demonstrate in a moment, but I'll probably not be putting this on or installing this until much later on when I've painted it. And this facilitates, let's just pop that there for a second. This facilitates an MG34 machine gun, which is the main gun, but the mount itself is remotely operated from inside the hull. But what I'll do with this, this is something you won't get this with the kit, so you'll need to look out for one of these on the old internet. And this one in particular is one by Dragon, made by Dragon, which do a lot of 12-inch figures, quite nicely detailed, but it's only plastic. I'll just pop that stand off there, and this is going to need some work just to weatherize it, and to paint sort of the handle and the stock here to make it look more realistic, as I did on the Tiger. And the idea is that once this is sitting in its mount, the MG34 slots into this slot here, and there's a little bracket that goes over to secure it, which I haven't installed yet because obviously I want to get this painted, and that basically is that. So I will install that. I'll definitely install the mounting bracket, and I'll install that as part of this exercise, but I will not leave it on there. I'll remove it because I want to get it painted, and also because there's a lot of moving around of this, I don't want to get it damaged. So we'll get cracking, and the first thing I'm probably going to do is to install the little mounting bracket that goes on here. Now I've realized that this is a M2.5mm gauge button fixing that goes through here, but the holes are a little bit too tight, so I will have to ream that out with a drill. So I'm just going to put my 2.5mm drill bit into my cordless drill and go around and just drill these out to make that life easier. So I'll go and get that, and we'll be back shortly. So got my drill now. All I want to do really is just tell you what I'll do is I'll probably go through this as well, because this disc, same problem. If I get one of the fixings, it's just a bit too tight. I don't want to force it through. I don't know if you can see that, but it is there, but that will need to be forced through, and I don't want to damage the thread of the little fixing. So it's always better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just drill that through ever so gently, and I'm also going to do the opposite side. we'll do the same one here. Do the opposite side. Now pop that there like so. Hopefully these fixings will, yeah, they will. Lovely. Right, but before I do that, I'm going to load up some thread locker onto my little plate here. So I'll just dip the screw in. Got to get some nuts ready. Pop those down there. Get the right amount of fixings. I think you're going to need 6 for this. I should have got these out before, sorry. Just really looking forward to getting this part done, because I think I'm going to have to do some work on the hull to get that front glacier plate to fit. I've been playing around with it to see how it works, and I don't think it's just going to go as it currently is out the factory. It's definitely going to need some working, possibly even some cutting. I don't know yet, hope not, but it seems that could be the case. Right, so that, we'll pop that back out. A little bit of thread locker on that. I've just elevated this using a bit of 4x2 inch timber. See, that will go through. Yeah, that's fine. I'll put the nut on the end of that in a moment. Don't like forcing any fixings through in case you damage the thread. Okay, just get a nut on the end of that now, both of those. Hopefully I can just feel that from underneath. And yes, I can. That's caught that. Same the other side. I mean, this is the way I'm doing it. I'm not saying this is the right way or how they say in the book, because they don't actually say in the book. So I'll just turn that. Just want to make sure that I've got that nut on there, and I do. Now with those two installed, I can then go around to now and ream the other holes out. I'm going through reasonable. Not going through too high speed because I don't want to damage anything. Now these should go through nice and easy. And they sort of do. I will really just wind that through a little bit. I think what it is, you've got 2 plates here, obviously to make up the roof, plus the ring. And there's not a lot of tolerance. I think by, so I'm just going to flip that over again. Just by re-drilling the holes. Just makes life a little bit easier. I'll put a bit of thread locker on that. force it. Just wind that through. So I can feel the nut. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's amazing that you kind of, when you start building these are awkward, but the more you do it, the easier it seems to get. You kind of, I don't know, is it muscle memory or something? You kind of know where to locate. Having said that, watch this go wonky now. I love the fact that all these, you're adding these little bits of details on step by step, really help transform the model from a few bits of metal into something quite smart. Now, because this is designed to be rotating, Armortek have thought of that and designed it in such a way that these little button fixings do not clash with the plate that, or the mount for the machine gun. They just think of everything. So that's the mount in place. Now I will not, I won't install this permanently, but I will install it just now, just to test it. So that goes on there, and that is secured by an M6 bolt from underneath and a washer to stop it from pulling through. So I'll just have to tip that a little bit just to sort of demonstrate to you. I haven't tightened that up too much, but that's it. That's it. And we then put the MG34 machine gun in place. That's it, doing its thing. Lovely. Now, as I said, the kit is supplied with a perfectly adequate version of this, but I'm going to give you an example. That is the plate that comes with the kit. You see that? And if we were to overplat that, nothing wrong with that. However, with the Armorpax upgrade, you get these bolts on here. This is beautifully machined, so it looks like it's been cut or plasma cut out of metal. Really nice detail, and when it's painted will really transform the look of this. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think you actually get the gun mount itself with the kit, which the gun mount is this part here at the end of that. So that's that. We'll pop that away for now. I'm actually going to remove this because I don't want to damage this by when I'm lifting this up and moving it around and what have you. But what I will do is I will put the bolt in the bottom of that for safekeeping. Pop that just out of the way, out of harm's way. So that's that. So that's done. Happy with that. Right. I think the next thing we're going to do is this sort of gun sight thing here. And there's a little plate that goes to the underside of this. It'll probably be easier for me to take this out and work with it and install that plate to the underside of that. So I'm just going to go and get the little fixings that go in here, and I'll be right back. Right, so I've turned this up on its side, put a clamp on the end just to stop it from falling over, because I'm going to need to work both sides of this. So with the gun sight, I've already gone ahead, let me show you this, sorry. I've already gone ahead and installed the little gun sight onto the plate. So that's going to pass through, make sure I've got the right way around, and I do. That's going to pass through the back of that, like so. Then we have a couple of cap fixings, which will just present themselves. Hang on a minute, I hear you say. You're right. Bit of thread locker on that. corresponding nut. Nope, not yet. Have to put the gun sight on, which is this thing here, which I'm obviously going to have to be putting on outside of the, away from the camera. If you see that, I will show you in a moment. And just wind that nut on. Just going to tighten this up from the back. What have I done with that? Oh, we go. So we'll just get the put that on that. Oops, that one even. And we have to line everything up on the back. Oops, this goes to show. Awkward, only because of the shape of it. That's that. Apologies for that. You can just see that all these things all meant to, all here to try us, if you like. Just move that round. There we go. That's now all there. Put the nut on the end of that. And hold that while I wind it in from the back. Yeah, it was so awkward. It's awkward because of the angle. Just put that on there. And that's that. Remove the clamp. Minor disaster averted, one hopes. I think it's got a slightly bent angle on the handle. That's no problem. Let's fix that. So that's the gun sight. Okay, obviously now that's in, it's got a limited field of travel because the nuts and everything else underneath it are preventing that from moving within its inside slot. So yeah, I'm quite happy with how that works. So that's that. And we now go on and we'll put some more of these brackets on. So we have some more of these sort of cleats and brackets to go on. One here, and there's one that goes on this little hatch over here, and they just simply, from what I can see, just simply bolt into place. Right, that was frustrating, so I decided not to film the whole process. Just these these brackets here and here. Just getting the nut onto the bolt is a nightmare, especially when you've got these massive big old sausage fingers of mine. So the next thing are a couple more lifting lugs. One that goes into there. I've already threaded the M3 fixing through that, so I just need a corresponding nut, and that's, well, we can put one, I think one goes there and one comes over here. I'm just checking the drawing, and it does. So just pop a little bit of thread locker on that. just goes onto that. Again, all these little things just add to the finished look. Step by step it starts to take shape. Just that's that. Next thing I'm going to attack is the sort of track holder here, and then we'll do the front part of the exhaust, or the this first part of the exhaust up here. Right, so we have this sort of little bracket that goes on the bottom of this. That is secured with a couple of 2.5mm or M2.5 cap fixings. I just need to lift this up a little bit so I can just get the fixing underneath. The first of one or two, sorry. This then goes with the upright part facing up this. Let's get a nut on that. All these things are so fiddly, but really add to the finished look and feel. So again, I know I keep saying it, but I have to keep telling myself the same thing. But patience is an absolute virtue when you come to doing models like this. And you know, just it gets to a certain stage where it becomes a little bit cumbersome to handle. But the enjoyment is nonetheless there. And in fact, I'd probably be better off holding that from this side and tightening it up from underneath. You get a sort of you get an idea of how many fixings are in this. If I spin this around in a minute, you'll see all the fixings from the other side. So that's that there. Then we have a 20mm long M2.5 bolt, which is going to help retain the track. That there. I'm just going to wind a little bit of thread locker in that. That goes like that. Wind a nut down on that. Put a little bit of thread locker on the bottom of that. And then very similar to what we did on the back of the Hetzer some time ago now. Seems like an eternity ago. That then allows for the track holder to position itself on there like that, hold the tracks in place. Now obviously I'm not putting the tracks on just yet because this whole thing needs to be painted, and I'm just going to wind on this little nut just to hold that, if it'll let me do it. Oh, that's why. That's one for the bin. Bit of a manufacturing flaw on that. Right, so that's that. Now we're going to go on and do the exhaust. I must say, I'll tell you what, Lou, let me show you this now. Let me just show you. I don't know if you can see that. Look at the amount of fixings on the back of this. You can that's where you can see the work. Sometimes you think, it doesn't seem like we've moved very far, but when you count, if you were to count up all the fixings on this, it's incredible. So now the next thing we're going to do is this exhaust piece here, so I'm just going to go off and find the bits I need, and I'll be straight back. So I've changed the position of the camera so we can get a good look at what we've got to do here, and I'll put this back, the roof back on in a temporary position, and then this here, which I thought originally was a gun sight, but that's just me being stupid, is actually the bracket that holds on the exhaust. But obviously I don't want to fix that just yet, because all of this needs to be bolted into place after all the electronics are installed, before I can do that. But what I do need to do is set this position of this exhaust. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a tiny little hole just there for a fixing to go through here and into this, and part of this you get a semi-flexible piece of hose, but it's really hard and really rigid, so that needs to be warmed up with my heat gun. You get a bit of copper pipe, you get the main exhaust outtake or outlet here, and you get the tube, or is it the part that you connect the tube on the inside of the tank from the smoke unit. So let's see how we get on with this, but bottom line is I need to try and get this positioned, and it's in a roughly where it's going to go, and that's going to need a little bit of manipulating, and I thought I'll get all that done now so I can leave this on the actual tank, so obviously when I come to paint it, it all gets hit with the paint. So first things first, I think the best bet would be for me to install this hose, and that's going to go over the copper tubing. I don't know whether to glue that just yet. I think it'd be alright actually. It's a nice tight fit. So that fits, roughly speaking, like that. Then that hose goes inside that, and then that goes inside this, and we just need to bend it into some kind of shape. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to pop that in there. I'm going to pop that into that. I don't know whether that just blows straight out of there. I think it probably does. Probably does. Big plume of smoke come out the back of this. Doesn't look like there's any other part of the exhaust kit to go with this. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to put that roughly in position, and we can see that it needs some work. So I'm now going to get my heat gun. I'll turn the heat down a little bit on it, just don't want to burn it, and then just warm this. Let me just move this back into camera shot. Try and get the heat, building the heat up slowly. Make sure that, that's now starting to bend around. Don't know if you can see that. Ever so slowly, that's all we want it to do, ever so slowly. So let's pop that on there. This is all a bit crude. Just trying to bend that into shape, more or less where it will end up. Obviously that's got to be bent over a bit more. It's nice and warm now, so it's bending quite nicely. So obviously that, once the bolts are installed in that, I think I'm quite happy with that. I will put some more heat on this when we come to eventually fit it. So what's the best way to do this? I think obviously that's got to go in from the bolted from the underside, and that will go in there like that. Yeah, I think so. And then we can put that. So I'm going to take that off for now, separate that. Then this and that can be installed. Just give that bit of a clean. All these parts need to be hit with the paint. Some thread locker on that bolt. Maybe this access panel is going to help me, but maybe it doesn't. Well, that one certainly does. I'm just going to hold that in position like that, as awkward as anything. Put that over the top of that, get the first one in anyway. And that goes over the top of that. I'm just going to spin this towards me a little bit. No. There we go, warts and all. I'm going to have to take this off, I think. Difficult to do with it on the tank. I'm going to pop this off, I'll reset the camera and we'll go from there. Okay, that's better. So, right, we'll start again. Got a bit of thread locker on that, of course. That goes on there. Housing goes over the top of that. Nut on. I'm just checking. It's the nut that's on show. Yes, it is. Okay, that's on. Albeit quite loosely. That's fine for now because I've just obviously got to line all this up. Same again. All this through. And this is an M3 12mm cap fixie. And I'm just going to raise this up. So I can get to the underside of it. So that's that. That's in place. And obviously this will go on there and we'll manipulate it into position. So what we'll do now, I'm going to pop this back onto the tank and we'll get it roughly in the position we want it to be, and then we're pretty much done on the roof. So just going to lift this into position, spin it round. Roughly in the position where it's got to go. All very, very loose at the moment, as you know. So I just want to see if I can get this, roughly speaking, where it's got to go. Now we can see where it's got to end up there. So I'm just going to put a bit more heat on that. Just try and bend that. Just putting some pressure on that, and that's it. So then when this is actually on the tank, I'll put a screw through here to retain this and stop this from moving around. And unless I see anything else to do with this, it may even come as part of the smoke kit, I don't know. But that looks like that's where the main exhaust outlet just pushes out of here in big plumes of smoke. So that's it, really fiddly part of the job. Now I'm going to go on and start looking, revisiting, if you like, the back of the glacier plate, and see what work needs to be done to that, as well as the servos being installed. Well, actually, time has just got away with me today. Had a look at the glacis plate, and the amount of work I've got to do to it is there's just not enough time in today's session to get it done. But having said that, I'm really pleased with what's been achieved today. The roof, I would say, now is complete and really starting to take shape. I just love all of the details on this particular roof, and I can just imagine when it's painted, it's going to look amazing. So just to recap, today was really all about sort of getting the gun sight part installed, getting the exhaust elements installed, all the various sort of brackets and lifting hooks and everything else installed, and I showed you how the new Armorpax, or the upgraded Armorpax remote control MG mount works. And I've temporarily installed that, but obviously I'm going to take that off for painting. And you probably saw as I was moving this thing around, it was a bit whimsical. So I'm glad I didn't install that, because there's a huge amount of detailing on this, and although it's fairly robust, it probably wouldn't sort of survive an impact. So it's safer to have it off the tank. So I did look at the glacis plate, and as I said, there is a bit more work involved in this. I'm going to have to do some work to fit the glacis plate to the front and get all this aligned. But ahead of that, I'll put the servos in the next session, and we'll do some alignment. And then I've got to start thinking about starting installing the batteries and some of the motion packs inside the main tank, as well as all the mud guards and everything else. So we've got a long way to go still on this incredible little kit. It's a small kit, but it's got a huge amount of detail, and I think this is why I really love building this particular model, because of the amount of detail that Armortek have provided in this kit. So that's it for today. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you've just joined, please subscribe. We've got a long way to go, and thank you and welcome. So I'll sign off by saying I'm Tony. I love building these tanks. Well, it's great to have you back in my workshop, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session. See you soon.